My name is Mark Baumgartner. I'm from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, and I'm going to be talking about near real-time passive acoustic monitoring for right whales on the U.S. East Coast. And this is an update on work that I've talked about before. The real-time whale monitoring system that we built relies on the Digital Acoustic Monitoring Instrument, or DMON, that's installed in Slocum gliders and moored buoys. The two platforms operate in a very similar way. They send detection information to shore where it's reviewed by an analyst, and the analyst puts up estimates of whale presence onto a variety of platforms. First of which is robotsforwhales.hui.edu, but the data is picked up and displayed by a number of different applications for a variety of different stakeholders. In the past year, we've published a number of papers on these systems and their performance and accuracy for detecting baleen whales. I want to highlight Hansen Johnson's very nice paper on location uncertainty in visual and acoustic detections that can be used to inform dynamic management. In terms of management applications, near real-time acoustic detections are now being used to trigger slow zones for right whales in the US, and they are used to trigger fishery closures and ship speed restrictions in Canada. I thought I'd go quickly through the deployments from this past year. You'll note on this map there are deployments in Canada. These are from my collaborators and colleagues in Canada at the University of New Brunswick, Dalhousie University, and the Ocean Tracking Network. I will not be talking about those deployments. I'll focus solely on what has been done in the US. So this past winter, 2 new buoys were deployed in the New York Bight. These are operated by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in partnership with the Wildlife Conservation Society, and they were funded by Equinor, which is a wind energy development company. And they will be operating, these buoys operate for at least a year at sea at a time. And we're funded to deploy these buoys for a few years. There's a buoy that was deployed off of Atlantic City, New Jersey, funded by Ørsted, and Ørsted also funded a buoy off of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, and both of those buoys were deployed this past summer. For gliders, we deployed 2 gliders off of Cape Hatteras, one to the north and one to the south. This was work done in collaboration with and funded by NAVFAC, and these were wintertime deployments. Rutgers University has incorporated a DMON into one of their gliders, and they'll be deploying that glider many times over the next 2 years with funding from Ørsted, focusing mostly on fall, winter, and spring seasons. I did 2 projects in collaboration with the NOAA Northeast Fisheries Science Center in southern New England, a wintertime glider deployment off of Cox Ledge funded by BOEM, and a summertime deployment of that same glider on the New England Outer Continental Shelf in and south of the New York shipping lanes. Also in collaboration with the NOAA Northeast Fisheries Science Center as well as the Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary as part of the Sank Sound project, we deployed a single glider serially 4 times in Stellwagen Basin to keep the glider operating nearly continuously from January to June for 5 months. And finally, I've been funded for the past several years by NARWC to conduct a wintertime survey in the northern and western Gulf of Maine. And this year we did that deployment from December to April, and we'll hopefully continue that for the next several years. So in red, I'm showing right whale detections for all of these deployments. In summary, we had 1,220 days of monitoring, 65 days of which right whales were detected. And here I'm showing the number of days right whales were detected out of the total days of monitoring for each of those platforms, so you can see, give you a rough sense of the frequency and distribution of right whale detections. Looking forward, most of these surveys will be repeated in 2021. There'll be the addition of 2 new buoys in the Mid-Atlantic in late fall. Just in a few months, we'll be deploying a buoy off the coast of Ocean City, Maryland, in collaboration with the University of Maryland, and then another buoy off of Cape Hatteras. This is funded by NAVFAC and will replace the glider deployments we've done off of Hatteras the past few years. And finally, the University of Maine will be incorporating 2 DMONs into their glider fleet so we can increase coverage in the Gulf of Maine during throughout the year. So finally, that's all I had. I wanted to acknowledge all the folks that have helped make all of this work happen, and I want to thank you for your attention.